Manhattan Project, one of the most secret wartime projects ever, with sites spanning across the United States and parts of Canada. Many facilities and thousands of people worked to produce the first atomic bomb. One site in southern Washington, by the name of Hanford, was one of the major sites of the project, and because of its purpose to produce plutonium, has been dubbed the most radioactive and toxic place in America. Here are 5 things you didn't know about pollution at Hanford. The beginning of Hanford started when General Leslie Groves' team were looking for sites for the plutonium production plant. They specifically searched in the Pacific Northwest, with a small team of the hired engineer company, as well as a few individuals from the project, ventured out and had proposed a list of 6 sites ranging from Oregon, Washington, and Southern California. Officially endorsed in January 1943, construction on the Hanford site began. Many of the public living there at the time were evicted from their homes. They received compensation, but some were still unhappy and tried to take the U.S. Army to court over it all. The disputes were handled outside of court to minimize time wasted. The workers of the Manhattan Project were constantly exposed to radioactive materials and were handling a variety of toxic chemicals and many other hazardous materials. It was an extremely dangerous place to work. Studies showed that many of the workers were at risk. Therefore, the Manhattan Project imposed strict safety measures in production facilities. There was an entire study on medical and health risks on the workers. Even with the safety procedures for handling radioactive waste from produced manufactured materials, some of the radioactive material leaked on the surrounding environment. From so much exposure to radioaction, low white blood cells counts were often. Many blood tests were taken to test if a worker had a possible overdose of radiation. During the Manhattan Project, monitors for radiation and radioactive exposure were used to prevent large-scale accidents at the reactors.
Many nearby Native American communities of the Columbia River noticed the pollution in the wildlife and water. This was due to the radioactive waste carried downstream by winds and the river itself. The largest groups affected by the spread of the radioactive materials were 2 tribes known as the Yakimas and the Nez Perce. These tribes relied on the Columbia River for its natural sources such as food and water. However, there were reports that were received by the direct officials that the fish in the river would be seen glowing at night. This was thought to be because of the radioactive runoff from Hanford. On May 9, 2017, a giant 20-foot diameter hole opened up on a sealed tunnel containing heavily contaminated equipment. Radiation levels were so high that most workers had to wear respirators and protective suits as they repaired the hole. This is just one example of a heavy radioactive pollution the site has caused. Hanford produced plutonium for World War II and throughout the Cold War. The site has been in a slow-motion environmental disaster ever since its opening. One big factor of the pollution is the 177 tanks filled with radioactive soup. No one really knows what the soup is fully composed of, but with the tanks only being built to last up to 20, over 1 million gallons of soup has been leaked into groundwater. The U.S. government says it will cost $107 billion and over 40 years to do a full cleanup of the site. Now you're probably wondering, what's going to happen? Is the government actually going to clean all this mess up? Currently, there is a waste treatment project in place. It has faced some setbacks, halting the project for many years. The aim of the treatment facility is to take the 56 million gallons of waste found in the tanks on site and transform them into glass rods for long-term storage. There are many problems occurring, and the project has been under heavy assessment from multiple organizations. There is no date specified when the 56 million gallons will be cleaned up, but we can safely say that it will be a while. Hanford has affected many different aspects of the environment and population around it. Many people's concerns with the state of this former nuclear site has led up to finally being cleaned up and dealt with.